Welcome everyone to Joc and Lew Talk to You. I'm Joss.
I'm Lew.
And this is kind of a new format that we're trying out, so it might be like moved around.
Yeah, we don't quite have it down yet.
We have like
figure it out as we go.
We have the ideas. We have kind of the vision. The vision is blurry. And so we're the rough title for this is Reviews Reviewed. And we are reviewing Siskel and Ebert's review of the 1995 classic Paul Verhoeven piece of film, Showgirls.
Piece of film is it's a piece of film.
It's a piece of film history.
Her
story.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Film Her Story. The feminist masterpiece of Showgirls.
Yeah. All right. Siskel and Ebert.
So this is their intro.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to watch the intro.
Siskel and Ebert review. Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman tracking a deranged killer.
Oh,
in
seven?
Sheriff John Candy wages war on the Great White North in Canadian bacon.
I don't know what
and
that is.
Showgirls goes backstage with Las Vegas strippers.
Okay, look. Yeah, Chicago Bridge. Extra. Oh my goodness, I love this. Oh, they're getting late. Gotta go to the press.
Also, people won't be able to see this.
I know, but it's so great. It's just like it feels like a 90s Chicago day show.
No,
But it also has like a bit of a...
You haven't the auditioned in here.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Maybe I like the way you dance. Maybe I like you. What difference does it make?
A young woman
looks like a
dreams of
sitcom
making
intro.
it big as a dancer in Las Vegas, but first she'll have to strip her way to the top in Showgirls, the adults-only film that's one of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with a Silence of the Lambs type thriller starring Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun.
First off, I love that he calls 7 a Silence of the Lambs style. Because I don't know if you remember, but when we talked about Long Legs,
We
called it that. We called it a
Silence of the
Lambs style film.
Oh, damn. We are not prophetic, but...
Not prophetic, but pathetic. So that's the intro. So I pseudo grew up on.
No, I don't. I have not watched anything like this. I know of the names Siskel and Ebert because they are Chicago icons.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't watch their stuff, unfortunately for their feud, I actually knew who Roger Ebert was more than Gene Siskel.
I think it's very safe to say Ebert won the popularity contest.
Yeah.
I more remember growing up on Ebert and Roper.
Okay.
Because Siskel passed away.
Okay.
In like late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
And he Roper, who's a different reviewer, it was fine. I remember watching it. There is something magical about Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
Because, like, number one, they did it forever. They were, like, kind of the first TV film critics. Mm-hmm. And they hated each other. Mm-hmm. They were not, like, and there's, like, people who talk about, well, was it put on as a show or not? But people who work with them were like, it was not fake. They truly fucking hated each other. They couldn't agree on lunch. It was always bickering. They were always afraid that the other was going to get more famous than the other.
Yeah, very divas.
Very divas.
They're much divas.
Yes, which I think it's appropriate that we start off with
Showgirls.
because it's them. And I think it's also because we have a weird, which we'll probably talk about if we keep doing this format, we'll talk about more. But like we have a very weird feeling about criticism. But like this, I feel like this kind of criticism is not big in society. Like this
it's not
is not
the style anymore.
Yeah, nobody watches. Like I'm sure some people do, But this used to be like this show would make or break a movie.
Yeah.
Like the way they talk about it could drive people to or away from a movie.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons for doing something like this is because there's a lot, maybe not a ton, but a handful. There's enough historical examples of them being very strong opinionated for things that have gone on to be cultural icons. Like The Thing is a perfect example. They have a very infamous Friday the 13th review, which I'm excited to get to that one at some point.
I wanted to make that a t-shirt at one point. I tried to, but I'm not good at design.
Yeah.
You can't learn it all.
And I'm sure there'll be episodes where we agree with them. So I think the general idea is we're going to review them, but we're also going to review the movie. So it's just a fucking gimmick to talk about movies.
Yeah.
But also I think reflect on also what that movie, the critical reception is at the time,
which is going to be varied based on the critics too. But, overall, I don't know, being from the Chicago area and stuff, like Siskel and Ebert, and they are big in movie history in general too. Them and then Svengoolie,
Yeah, that's a
Chicago's television icons.
Yeah.
Bozo the Clown was from Chicago too.
Yeah.
So a ton of early television icons from the Chicago area.
Chicago was the place to be for TV, apparently.
Yeah.
It was the small screen Hollywood.
But yeah, the intro to their show was great.
It was very cute.
It was very cute. It was very a sitcom of the time, even though it's a review show. And it also, they clearly are trying to show the Chicago areas and stuff. And then I guess they're also having this guy, I think one wrote for the Sun-Times, one wrote for the Tribune.
Yes.
So it was whose newspaper's going to sell more.
Right, yeah. They're kind of playing with the little bickering. That was very real. But yeah, so I think what we'll do is we're going to listen to their review of Showgirls.
Okay.
React to that and then talk about what they thought of the movie, and do we agree with them and what we thought of the movie.
Okay.
So I don't know where we'll try to. I'll
try to raise my hand if I have something to say.
I don't think they go to Showgirls right away. So
I don't want to see the review of 7 because I actually haven't seen 7, because when it got re-released on IMAX, which that was an anniversary release, so it's a little frustrating that 7 got an IMAX release and not Showgirls. You guys.
Yeah.
But also when
guys.
they released it on IMAX, it was only showing at 11 p.m. And I'm like, I am asleep.
I'm too tired.
I can't watch a 3-hour, 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah. It's too late.
That's too late. Please put it at 5 p.m.
Yes. For Silence of the Lambs style thrillers.
Yeah.
Showgirls has inspired a lot of curiosity because it's the first big-budget NC-17 rated movie to be released by a Hollywood studio since Henry and June in 1990. What does it do to earn its adults-only rating? Well, it has a lot of nudity, mostly of the topless variety, although there is some sort of vague pubic nudity, and there's also...
Yeah, okay, I remember, because I watched this before.
Okay.
Because I was trying to look for some of their reviews to see, is there any meat on the bones of this idea?
Yeah.
Because we had watched Showgirls recently, so I was like, I'll look up Showgirls, and that was I heard that line. It's no, yep. I want to get her reaction to the line, mostly of the topless variety, but a little bit of pubic
variety, I guess.
Which is it really does kind of set you up for these guys are not the target demographic for this movie.
Yeah, they're not the target demographic. It's just funny because I'm like, is Showgirls a niche film?
Yeah, I think it is.
Because I think drag queens love it a lot because it's a great movie. Mm-hmm. And I love it.
I think it was ahead of its time. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But I think it was niche for its time, and I think the audience for it has grown
I would love an IMAX release.
Yeah.
I would I will stay up till 11 p.m. to watch Showgirls in IMAX. That is for certain.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I love Showgirls.
I also love Showgirls. I don't think we're going to agree with that.
I don't care about the pubic variety. And it's also it's mostly topless nudity. Is there really much pubic variety? There's booty.
I just want to like indulge in the fact that like this guy is considered one of the greatest film review writers of all time.
Sorry, we have a horse. Oh
my god! Cats are going crazy.
The horses are in town. Oh my god. Okay, sorry.
He is like one of the top writers of all time when it comes to film criticism.
I know, yeah.
And the fact that he presented that line of like it was some of pubic variety.
On the Red Letter Media Wikipedia page, when
Yes.
they're describing Half in the Bag, they say it's modeled after Siskel and Ebert.
Sure, yeah, because it's two guys sitting in a chair talking.
I guess anytime two men sit in a chair and talk about movies, it's
Yeah.
Siskel and Ebert.
Even though it's like...
Even though they don't hate each other.
that we know.
At least it's not part of the plot line.
It was just influential for people. It's like
Yeah.
that idea where you just have two people reviewing movies and talking back and forth. And that was also something with the history of them too, is that like when they first started doing it, they were very pre-written. They tried to like pre-write and just say rehearsed lines, and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So like early on, they figured out that it just works better if they just banter back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's the kind of energy that like
a podcast before.
Yeah.
I would assume this is at least before. I know that you have your information about the history of podcasts.
Yeah,
but this was before computers.
They started in the 70s. They started in the 70s.
This was before the home computer.
Although I love the idea of a podcast on like, I'm just going to listen to some, I'm going to go in my computer room and listen to some podcasts. You have the giant tape reel that you look up. Yes, it was predated that. And I feel like
So it's like in between a radio show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's an interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very successful and pubic variety. Mm-hmm. I can imagine people at the time were like,
the pubic variety is very successful.
Speaking of t-shirts,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of the pubic variety.
A lot of blunt talk about sex and the kind of thrusting motion in a lap dance and in a pool scene that the MPAA always looks for and says, oh, that can't go in an R-rated movie. But the plot is just another sleazy soap opera, and in many ways, this movie doesn't go nearly as far as the R-rated Basic Instinct, which was also directed by Paul Verhoeven and written by Joe Esterhazy. The movie stars Elizabeth Berkley as Nomi, a woman without a past or much of a future, who moves to Las Vegas and gets a job in a trashy strip joint. Gina Gershon plays the star of a glitzy show in one of the big casinos, and she brings her boyfriend to see Nomi work, although she's as intrigued as he is.
You like her?
That's Kyle MacLachlan, who also works for the big casino. Attracted by the younger woman's defiance, the star gets her an audition for the chorus line, and they develop a real love-hate relationship.
Nomi's got heat.
Does she now?
Yes, she does. Oh, in a totally different way, of course.
Come on. She's going to take the lead? This is a hotel show. This isn't the Cheetah.
Nobody's going to take my lead anyway, darling. I haven't missed the show in 8 years.
But you're not getting any younger, darling.
The backstage details supply the most interesting stuff in the movie, including rehearsal scenes like this one with the seasoned pros who hold the show together.
Okay, music! Higher. Not that high. Stay in sync. 1, 2, 3.
Thrust it! Thrust it! Thrust it! Thrust it! Okay.
Enough. Thank you, ladies.
What Nomi soon discovers is that work at the casino may also involve entertaining high rollers.
Ladies, we got a great idea. We want to take you girls to dinner tonight after the show. Have some lobster, hear Caesar sing. You ever heard Caesar sing? Man, that guy's great. You'll love it.
Showgirls does have a certain entertainment value in its sleazo stupido way, and I wasn't
Sleazo stupido. That's something. Where's my phone? I need to write that down.
But I'm glad they left them in because I did laugh. What's disappointing is that the Joe Esterhaus screenplay shows absolutely no ambition to be the least bit better than it absolutely has to be. Basically, he has simply recycled the oldest showbiz formula in the book, where the chorus girl takes over for the star, and then he's disguised it with a lot of nudity and some fairly routine sex. Right before
I would not call the sex in that movie routine at all.
Las Vegas. It's going to open in a few weeks, and it is so much more powerful and insightful about Las Vegas and about sex that it blows this one right out of the water.
Hey, if you look up Sleazo Stupido, nothing comes up.
No, you made that up.
He's the highest paid
Yeah,
screenwriter
and that's
in
a great
history, and I really
like
don't think he earned
username
his
or band
money.
name
Yeah.
or something. So,
It
guys,
is
I'm
the
taking
most
that
simplistic.
first
It is all about
for
eating
something.
G-string, and it really is.
Copyright.
The lines of dialogue, the insight. You said show business details backstage. What, putting ice on your breast to make things stand out?
So maybe the rehearsal and the audition process and how people get jobs and what they have to do to get the jobs.
We saw it in
and
a
stuff
chorus
like
line.
that.
There isn't anything original
No,
in this
there
picture.
isn't. I didn't say there was.
Not a single thing that's original in the picture. And is it that sexy? There's one lap dance where you're just stunned that Elizabeth Berkley can do that. Berkley can do that with her body, but I mean, twist around as much as she does. But it's not sexy at all. And she's not sexy. She's hard around the face. I didn't think she was particularly appealing.
What the fuck?
Wow! Fuck you, Siskel. She's gorgeous.
Yeah. I don't do anything original in the screenplay at all. I didn't care for the film.
Well, I didn't either. And I'll tell you, the thing that bothers me is Esterhaus basically had an opportunity here to break some new ground with
the
an
rating.
It broke new ground!
NC-17, we would like to think that maybe a movie would have some insights into sexuality, into behavior.
It does. It does.
You're
You
wrong.
just don't get it.
Pick it up. You didn't pick it up.
And there's nothing.
You divas.
In connection with women.
I was gonna say you rotten divas.
He always sees them as kind of bitch goddesses with knives and things. She has a switchblade out within 30 seconds of the opening of the movie.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no eroticism involving a relationship between two people.
Either he's afraid of
all
them,
these
or he thinks
reviewers,
that's
they, like,
what the
almost
audience
get
wants to
it.
see, and that's
Yeah.
what the audience we'll see. They're women as rag dolls, violent rag dolls. Okay, next movie, and our next film is Canadian Bacon.
Oh, is that it?
That's it. Yeah, they don't get. It's quick, and they do like 3 movies. Hey, it's only like 21 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Because they have to do commercials, and then they just talk about 3 movies.
I see.
That's it. That was their feelings. I don't know if they recap at the end. Maybe we'll skip ahead to see.
Yeah. But first of all, what Elizabeth Berkley looks like in her terms of attractiveness.
What the hell was
that's
that all
like,
about?
That has nothing. That's just a you know. Okay, anyways, let's see what they have to say at the end.
Yeah, so here
The
it
thumbs
is.
up, thumbs down.
2 thumbs down for Showgirls, the trashy Las Vegas melodrama with cornball dialogue and a recycled plot. 2 thumbs
Yeah,
down for Michael Moore's
that's
lame
why I
political
wanted.
satire,
That's why I
Canadian
would
Bacon,
choose
a
it.
real
Okay,
disappointment.
yes. That's there. It was funny when I felt like with the reviews that Ebert was like, there were some okay parts. And then Siskel was like, it's all terrible. And then I feel like Ebert had to like, no, I hate it too.
Yeah, they drag each other down.
Yeah, right.
They rile each other up.
Okay, so obviously their consensus was in line with like the majority when the movie came out.
Yeah.
And probably still to this day, ironically I said to this day, because most straight people you talk to who were like alive when it came out probably still think of it as like, oh, it's that terrible movie.
Yes.
But it's found an audience since then. And I'm curious, this is the thing that I'm curious about. Like we'll never know the answer to, but I'm curious, like, let's say they had gotten it right, and we'll get into our perspectives and what we think. If they were like thumbs up, it's campy and fun, would that change the way society reacted to it, or is it like most people saw it because this would play before the movie came out? So. How much did they influence?
Yeah, how much do they influence the conversation?
Yeah.
And it's different now because of the, social medias and stuff, is that there's somewhat more democratized conversation, somewhat.
Yeah.
I would say that there's like a different type of mob mentality
Right.
now. Because that's just always going to be a thing. But, having a platform like that, and, getting to watch the movie early and stuff definitely steers the boat a certain way. I would also say a lot of people who get to watch the movie now early are generally like people who market the movie.
Yeah.
Because now a lot of people who are critics or whatever on, Letterboxd, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, they're not really reviews as much as because a lot of the movie atmosphere has changed a lot.
The way this used to work, and I used to work as a projectionist, and there was one of the union, the older union guys who've been doing it forever, according to him at least. The way there's critic screening, so they'll screen a movie early for critics, and it's not glitzy glamory. It's literally just you go to a theater. There's probably one theater in Chicago or whatever for the Chicago market, but they would just handful of theaters in areas would just hey, this screening is a special event. You go to a normal theater, you just watch it. That's it. According to the guy that used to be a union guy who would run these, it was not uncommon for critics, and he mentioned Ebert, to fall asleep during the movies. But without not getting into that, now what studios have figured out is you throw a party.
Yeah.
You give away things. You make it exciting, and then you invite people who are, quote unquote, in the media, who are mostly just now influencers.
Yeah.
And you basically have a fun throw party, and you set them up to be in the best possible mood to see the thing.
Yeah. Because they're not really reviewers of the movie. They're just either they might be someone just with a podcast. It might not even be about movies. And so they just hype up the movie.
Yeah.
It might be someone this is very common in the Disney, the franchise world.
Yeah.
Where, people will make their whole influencing platform about franchises and stuff. So they invite people who that do free marketing and, invite them to a party to even do more free marketing.
Yeah. And then so it's criticism of film, which I don't think is important, to be honest. I think film analysis is important. I don't think criticism is important.
I think they're kind of very similar.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that after you finish your thought.
Right. But I think I think it has shifted, and in some ways, like you're saying, it's better. In some ways, it's worse. You have Siskel and Ebert and people like that. There was and it was very common for people to be oh, this person's my favorite reviewer. It's I read this newspaper. I go by what they said it was bad, so I'm not even going to bother saying it.
Yeah.
Versus now where it's well, more or less, I'm assuming most people just look at Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And you look at the
they look at the review
percentage.
aggregator. They don't realize what it means.
Yeah.
Which just means how many reviewers did Rotten Tomatoes take their score to mean positive or negative?
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of times where there's movies where pretty much all the critics were 2 or 3 stars out of 5 stars, down the middle.
Right.
And so Rotten Tomatoes will just pick and choose.
Arbitrarily put it as whether it's a fresh or a splat or whatever.
Yeah, a fresh or a splat or whatever. And it also instead of reading, it's a good way to read a bunch of reviews because if you do that, but most people don't read the reviews. And they don't read what a lot of people are saying about the film either way. And then I would also say that was in the 90s. And it's very interesting because the studio made a niche film. Mm-hmm. A big studio, who put this out? MGM?
I'm not sure.
My point was being that Showgirls is somewhat of a niche movie to be a studio release. Didn't appeal to everyone.
I think it's just that that was a time where there was a much more of the sentiment of you try something, you throw it out there.
Yes.
This movie, Showgirls existed because
I guess that's my point. Yeah.
Paul Verhoeven did Basic Instinct, which was kind of the movie that kicked off the thriller, the sex thriller craze. And that is a very serious movie. It's taking itself more serious. And it did really well. It was culturally a huge thing. And so it was like, oh, the writer director of that are now going to they're going to make another one. Let's give them money. And the thing is that like they made a completely different vibe. And this movie was hated. People hated this movie. It was a bomb.
Wrong.
People.
Wrong.
It ruined her career. And we know that like Siskel and Ebert, for example, something like The Thing.
Yeah.
They hated and they just called it gross and pointless.
It is gross.
And if like, yeah, and that's the point. And I think, for example, if The Substance had come out during this time period,
oh yeah,
I would easily see people, the gatekeepers, because at this time
he's doing a cup half full switcheroo.
It was,
but yes, yeah, the
people
gatekeepers might have been like, no, I don't like this.
They would have said it's gross for no reason, and it's like, oh, it's because in that they're like talking about like. Siskel was like, treats women as just knife wielding bimbos or whatever, and he doesn't respect women. It's like, okay, says you, but then when you talk to a lot of women who love this movie nowadays, they don't like it's.
So how I feel about the movie is there a bit of a confusion factor that's actively happening when you're watching the movie? There's a weird disconnect when you're watching the movie that's like but it's like fascinating. It's like this fascinating dissociation.
I think that's one of the things the movie does so well is it lets you know right away.
Yeah,
we're not in reality. People don't function like the beginning of the movie is literally it just starts with her hitchhiking.
Yes,
and then
the substance as well.
Yeah. It's this cornball dude who's like, hey, baby, you going to Vegas? And
their caricatures come to life.
They're goofy, over-the-top caricatures.
I feel like the movie is like, it's a caricature of other movies. That's why they're like, Siskel and Ebert are like, it's like every other, this type of, the top showgirl gets overtaken by the lower showgirl.
Right.
And it's like, yes, that's a common trope, but like, did you watch the movie?
Yeah, and I think, to me, to us, but I'll speak for myself only. To me, the big disconnect with this movie is I don't think people understand that Paul Verhoeven is doing what he did with RoboCop for sex movies. And what a lot of people so his biggest movies, RoboCop and Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is a little bit more part of the conversation, but what a lot of people don't understand is that those movies are satire. Paul Verhoeven is not American, and he thinks American culture. He thinks lowly of American culture. And so RoboCop is making fun of action movies. I grew up thinking it's an amazing action movie, and most people did. And eventually you grow up and you recontextualize it like it's over the top on purpose. It is saying like the idea of like the Detroit police have made a Robo-Man he has no humanity. He is nothing but cop, RoboCop, and he'll just shoot and ask. And when you watch the movie, you're like, it's so cool because he's got the machine gun pistol and goes, and he just kills people like heartlessly. And then when you're an adult, you're like, oh my God, they made a robot that's just out there shooting people. It's not great that he shoots people in the head and then swings his gun and goes, you have been eliminated, or whatever the fuck he says. And that like corporations own the cops. And like you see the cynicism and you see the satire and you realize like, no, the violence is like making fun of violence in American movies.
Whereas the sex is so like off-putting and over the top.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's making fun of like sexuality in movies because, and like it does that, and then it hits you with reality of these are the real consequences or whatever his point was.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's what it is because when her friend at the end is violently assaulted, it stops being fun.
Yeah,
for
it's
a
like
lot
this
of
jarring, like, oh my God.
Yeah, for pretty much the most of the film.
Right.
But then Naomi goes to say goodbye to people.
Yeah, and like the sex scene, like Siskel, I think it was Siskel, said like, it's like this, or no, both of them, I don't know, one of them referenced the lap dance and the sex scene, and how unsexy it is, and how she's just writhing.
She's flopping like a fish.
She's flopping like a fish. And it's like, yeah, that's the point. It's at least in my opinion, maybe it's not true. Maybe Paul was really trying to make a fucking great, like, he's like, this is so sexy. But it's like, it's making fun of sex scene in movies. It's making fun of sex on film.
Yeah.
Where it's like not realistic. And it's like, that's the extreme of it. We're like, and it feels like the actors are in on it because they're like, she's going fucking nuts in a way that it's like, that's just functionally not how sex can work. And then he's going, and he's got his stupid hair he's playing with.
His hair is like a main character
It's
of the
so
movie.
good.
Kyle MacLachlan's
Yeah,
hair.
it's so good. And like the striptease, that whole point of that striptease, or the lap dance scene, is that it's like supposed to be, oh my God, like the context of the movie is like that she's like she's the top showgirl, and at this point Nomi's just a stripper, and they're going there, and she's kind of being antagonizing her.
She's bullying,
and she's basically like, I can pay for you, and like I'm gonna pay for you to like give a lap dance to my man, and I'm gonna watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
And Nomi tries to take power by like, she's like, I'm gonna be so fucking sexy that I'm gonna dry hump your guy so hard he's gonna come.
Yeah.
And she tries to do that, and then the not Nomi,
Gina Gershon.
Gina Gershon is like still Crystal is like, she's like, yeah, well, that's what I wanted. Like, it's like a power dynamic. It's basically Challengers, but instead of tennis, it's a lap dance. And it's like, that's the context. But the performance of it is so silly to where it's like has a sign saying, look at how dumb this is. Isn't this silly that you would take something like this serious? It's not that serious. And it's in the same way that, like, you know, RoboCop shoots somebody and like 80 pounds of blood fly out of their body and they fly across the room. It's like over the top and silly to point out how over the top and silly these things are. And I think that was the point. And I think it just went over the heads of everybody. In the same way that RoboCop went over the heads of everybody. But I think, and maybe this is just a weird thing about America, like, you can do action movie satire, and the over the top action.
It's like, hell yeah!
Yeah. But then we're weirdly prudish about sex. So when it's over the top sex, people are like, this is weird. They're not talking like normal people. It's like, and fucking RoboCop did. That's normal dialogue in a movie. Or like Starship Troopers, like, it's so over the top anti-fascist by being fascist, but people are like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh look, I get so excited when the military guys are doing the military stuff and killing the bugs, even though like the movie's very much like, the bugs are very afraid of us and we're invading them. Like, fucking bugs. But it just doesn't translate. And I think that's kind of the point. I think that's like a point was made and was ratified by the fact that American audiences were like, no, this is ridiculous. And like Siskel and Ebert, they're acting like it's this like grotesque.
They're acting like it's an Andy Sedaris movie.
Yeah, like it's this sleazy, and it's like, it's not that sleazy.
Yeah.
They're, like he said, it's just a little bit of pubes. It's like what did he say? Like a.
It's like.
Nice.
Please edit that out.
Okay.
You always keep my burps in. I'm like, please stop.
I think they're fun. I'll edit them out from now on.
Yeah, the movie is really not sleazy. Like, it's sleazy, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe just people. I try to think, like, this is around the time, like, or maybe a couple of years later, the Monica Lewinsky thing happened. And, you know, over time, the tides have changed on that too, but I don't think in just a niche audience.
Yeah.
Where I think Showgirls hasn't quite lost. I think because there was so many memes essentially.
People aren't going to give it a second chance. They've made up their mind.
Yeah. And because it's not like it's a subject, I guess, not a person. I don't know.
I think, yeah, because Showgirls doesn't have a Twitter.
Yeah.
Where it can, like...
defend itself.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. It's like maybe the world is just like one counterpoints video away from...
mass acceptance of Showgirls.
Right. But it's definitely found an audience. There are people who will who understand.
I would love to go to like a cool screening that's hosted by like a drag queen or something like that. Because I've on the Wikipedia it mentions like that it's loved by
drag, and I think it's also like it's hard for people to recognize movies can be entertaining in different ways. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of like a good analogy. I guess Basic Instinct is a good analogy, right? Where there's Basic Instinct, which is like checks the check boxes of what like generally traditionally is considered like this is a well-made movie. Mm-hmm. It does these things well. Mm-hmm. Whereas Showgirls, it doesn't check those boxes, but it checks other boxes. Yeah. Where it's like it's insanely fun to watch. Yeah. And it's very like it doesn't take itself seriously, and it's doing like it's
a longer movie, and it felt like it went by so quick.
Yeah,
too.
It's
and snappy.
It's something where like so, and I think people have trouble reckoning with like something can be fun in a way that's not traditionally good. Like Nomi. Again, back to the movie showing its hand right away. She gets there, she loses her bag. The guy steals her bag, so she loses all her things. Mm-hmm. And then like she runs into her friend who becomes a character for the whole thing, and she takes her to get food. Yeah. And Nomi is so antagonistic for no reason and over the top. When she's like, she has some French fries and she's like, "Where are you from?" And then I don't remember where she says she's from.
Places.
But she's like,
out west.
I'm out west. Yeah.
Out east.
Out east. She's like, out east where? And she's just like irrationally angry, especially for this person who has just shown them kindness, throws her fries on the ground and they fly and goes, "Places!" Just so mad.
Different places.
Yeah, different places. And I think generally people are going to watch that and be like, that's not good acting. Yeah. But it's like, is it? Why?
But Paul Verhoeven specifically asked for that. Yeah. He has come out and said, like, she did exactly what I asked her to do.
Yeah. And it's like, well, you say it's not good acting, but why?
Yeah, why is it not good acting?
Because it's engaging as fuck to watch.
And also, why is it not good acting? Because you've already pre-written this movie in your head based on other movies.
Right. You have a preconception of, like, what good acting is or isn't. Mm-hmm. And I think it was, like, people now are more up for understanding that and being more, like, understanding of, like, there's different thoughts when it comes to art. Yeah. Even the art of throwing French fries in frustration.
I think having its like status as a midnight movie and stuff, I think there is like, and the Wikipedia talks about how critics who have reevaluated the movie says it's a satire worthy of praise.
That's another thing with there are some movies that I know Siskel and Ebert, or at least Ebert, has come back around, but I was wrong about that. Yeah. Which is good. I think people need to keep that attitude. Your first reaction isn't your best reaction.
Having, because more democratized, more diversity of thought, being higher, like more attention on it, helps to be like, actually, and also probably, I know Paul Verhoeven has done screenings and done Q&As afterwards.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think just having more, that's the whole thing with like, there's more voices now, and that allows for more the ability to analyze something in a way that might not. Because also it's like you could be somebody who's like, yeah, I get all that. I still don't like Showgirls. Yeah. And that's valid.
I think the thing is liking it but not understanding it. And that was how the mass amount of people, when this came out, from what I've heard, legendarily, they blew it off because it was ahead of its time. Yeah. And that's disappointing. It's so good, and like the costumes are so pretty, and the dancing, and it's also like I love being in this weird dissociative state when watching it. It's like it puts you in this like, I don't know, it's like taking drugs probably. I don't know. I haven't done a drug that puts me in that state.
I mean, you can make the argument that like Nomi probably has some sort of personality disorders just based on the way she acts. And it puts you in her worldview.
Yeah.
And there's so many.
I mean, the whole movie doesn't take place in reality. I guess because it so much doesn't take place in reality, and you can't and maybe that's what people didn't like about. I mean, I know that's what people didn't like about it is that they're like, well, this isn't. This looks like Vegas, but it isn't.
Yeah, and it's hard to reckon with that,
in a sexuality type of way.
Yeah,
and also,
Gina
Gershon and Nomi, they have this antagonistic lesbian relationship in it, which is super fun and entertaining to watch. But I'm guessing his point with that whole from what I understand, lesbian relationships on screen, especially at that point, probably were only shown for the most part for straight pleasure.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing Paul Verhoeven is, the doggy chow scene.
Yeah.
They're talking about this being fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
But they're doing it so sexually and charged and stuff.
Right.
That most people are very confused, but I think that's what what he's doing is y'all are being ridiculous with this, using lesbianism
as this
this taboo,
right.
For straight pleasure thing,
Yeah, and I think it's also poverty, a way of communicating poverty that's so ridiculous.
Yes.
It's oh yeah, they both came from poverty and they've transcended it, or she's trying to transcend it, and it's they connect by eating doggy chow. Poor people be I used to love doggy chow. And also it's that thing where it's you know what, it doesn't fucking matter what they're saying.
Yeah.
The point of this scene is that they're connecting, and it's ooh, are they gonna? And then later on, they do a little kissing. It's what's gonna happen with these two? And it's it doesn't fucking matter what they're saying. They're talking about how they love doggy chow.
They love
what do
dog
you care,
food.
you weirdo? You're just waiting for them to kiss, aren't you? What did they talk about? Was it doggy chow? Bet you don't remember. I would guess. I don't
Paul
know.
Verhoeven was the original. What color shirt was she wearing? Those videos.
Yeah. I wonder. You know how movie theaters have the trivia?
Yeah.
It would have been great if there was trivia time. It was what furry snack did these two characters bond about in
Showgirls 1995?
And it's the options, and it's Snickers, cake, doggy chow, bananas, and little timer. Doggy chow. I hope I probably wasn't.
I want to hear Marina Menounos talk about doggy chow or whatever. And then go listen to my podcast, Heel Squad.
Heel Squad.
Or whatever. Get off the fucking screen.
Get out of here. But yeah, I think we definitely disagree with
Siskel and Ebert.
Siskel and Ebert in this one.
Yeah, I think they were off base.
I think they're off base. I think there was, especially Siskel with the I don't like the way her face is shaped.
Fuck you.
What the fuck, dude? Okay.
That's not really a film criticism.
I'm sorry. Are you trying to say you don't like her makeup, or you just
It was her face is too sharp for this.
Yeah, he's she wasn't even pretty. It's especially with I think you really missed the mark on this one, Siskel.
I think you really missed the point.
In our opinion, at least, this movie is throwing in the face of people who are just excited to see an NC-17 sex movie.
Yeah,
and his response is she wasn't even pretty the way I like things to be pretty. So thumbs down for this guy. Maybe the marketing had a lot. Maybe because the marketing was so see the sexiest.
It was
movie.
the original hiding. It was a musical.
Yeah.
It was the 95 version of this definitely isn't a musical. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I would love to see the marketing team when they're presented with the film and they're okay, start cutting trailers and making the marketing plan, and they're do we do the marketing as what the hell are they talking about? What is happening? The most confusing movie of the year. And then it just had like, man, everybody has AIDS and shit. As if it's like this like meaningful dialogue. So what would you so you saw at the end, their big thing
Thumbs
was
up or
thumbs up,
thumbs
thumbs
down?
down. What would you give their review?
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down, me too. Thumbs down.
Thumbs down
Thumbs
to
down.
hell.
Down. Oh, okay, hey, they're both dead. So careful.
At least temporarily. Until our next review. Then we can reevaluate if they can get out of hell for a little bit.
That's the premise. Well, essentially, we're get out of hell.
Yeah. Right now they start in hell.
Yeah. We'll see if they can dig their way out.
So yeah, we'll see if the
By
next
cherry
one.
picking reviews that we know we don't agree with them on.
And I'm the gatekeeper.
Yeah, you're the gatekeeper to hell.
I'm the sleazo stupido.
That whole fucking everything he said was great.
The words he used
The words
without
yes.
context.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like Showgirls.
Sleazo Stupido. Maybe that's the name of the podcast.
Yeah, Sleazo Stupido.
Sleazo Stupido Torpedo.
Well, stupido implies torpedo. So
Okay. I didn't know if it was applied like a speedo.
I thought it was saying like a torpedo.
A torpedo of sleaze, of stupid sleaze. Okay, well, so we're off with the.
I give the movie 2 thumbs up, and
Yeah.
I give their review 2 thumbs down.
I agree, right there with you.
Yeah, you guys were wrong. I did like your their theme song intro. That was kind of cute.
But you know what? Other people made that. Not
Yeah,
them.
that's exactly how I feel. Okay.
I highly recommend go watch Showgirls if you saw
Do
it back
it.
then or you thought it was bad.
I want to get the VHS.
Yeah.
There was apparently it was great on the VHS market. And I want to get a VHS, I want to get a Blu-ray, and it's usually streaming for free somewhere.
Yeah. Tubi has it often, I think.
Yeah.
Your local library might have it. I don't know. It's NC-17. As if that matters. I don't know.
Bye.
Bye.